What is corruption? Corruption is defined as the misuse of entrusted power for personal gain. Corruption undermines confidence, undermines democracy, stifles economic development, and exacerbates inequality, poverty, social division, and environmental disaster. We can only expose corruption and hold corrupt people accountable if we understand how corruption works and the mechanisms that support it. Corruption can happen anywhere: in business, government, the courts, the media, and in civil society, as well as across all sectors from health and education to infrastructure and sports. Corruption can involve anyone: politicians, government officials, public servants, business people, or members of the public. Corruption happens in the shadows, often with the help of professional enablers such as bankers, lawyers, accountants, and real estate agents. Opaque financial systems and anonymous shell companies that allow corruption schemes to flourish and the corrupt to launder and hide their illicit wealth. And lastly, corruption adapts. Corruption adapts to different contexts and changing circumstances. It can involve in response to changes in rules, legislation, and even technology. Corruption is an insidious plague that has a wide range of corrosive effects on societies. This evil phenomenon is found in our countries big and small, rich and poor, but it is the developing world that its effects are most destructive. Corruption hurts people disproportionately by diverting funds intended for development, undermining a government's ability to provide basic service, feeding inequality and injustice, and discouraging foreign aid and investment. Corruption is a key element in economic underperformance and a major obstacle to poverty alleviation and development. This is the speech of Kofi Annan, Secretary General of the United Nations, speech on the UN Convention Against Corruption 2003.
Good day everyone, I am Daniela Guillermo Rivero and now I will discuss to you the history of corruption during the Spanish and American period. Spanish period 1521 to 1898. Corruption has been a persistent problem in the Republic of the Philippines for a long time, with the evidence indicating that it may have begun during the Spanish colonial administration. The history of the Philippines from 1565 to 1898, also known as Spanish Philippines. According to GAN Integrity's Philippines Corruption Report, which was updated in May 2020, the Philippines is plagued by corruption and criminality in a variety of areas and industries. Corruption threats abound in the state judicial system, police force, public service, land administration, and natural resource management. The following are the examples of corruption such as graft, bribery, favoritism, nepotism, impunity, embezzlement, extortion, racketeering, fraud, tax evasion, lack of transparency, insufficient enforcement of laws and government policies, and constant lack of support for human rights. American period in 1898 to 1942. American preparation of the Philippines for democratic self-government suffered an inherent contradiction, perhaps not recognized at the time. Transferring government duty to people who are capable for carrying it out was incompatible with the development of a social and economic foundation for political democracy. Self-government necessitated the assumptions of power by those Filipinos who already held positions of power in society. However, those men were mostly from the landed elite and maintaining their political and economic positions was incompatible with an equalizing opportunity. Even the rise of well-educated middle class did not always translate into a shift in power dynamics. The majority of middle-class political aspirants adopted the values and behaviors of existing power elite. So that would be all for Spanish and American period.
So I'm gonna discuss you the post-independence period. In 1946, percent as for today, corruption is now getting more rampant. In 2016, when President Rodrigo Duterte was still campaigning for the presidency, he declared that if he was elected, he will get rid of corruption. He said, "Give me about 3 to 6 months," he said. 5 years later, the Commission on Audit of COA released a reporting finding deficiencies in use of 67.3 billion by Department of Health or DOH in the fight against COVID-19, including 41 billion transferred to the Procurement Service Department of Budget and Management or PSDBP. The COA said the fund transfer was not covered by the documents, which led to the delay in delivery of medical supplies initial in pandemic response, as recognized by Article 5 of UNCAC, or core principles associated with the prevention of corruption in the public sector are the rule of law, proper management of public affairs and public property, integrity, transparency, and accountability. The most promising solution would be strong government institution that provides for people so that they do not need to seek necessities in corrupt sources. This would resolve the problem, since Filipino democracy also faces found and thief, but it is a necessary prerequisite for process, although idealistic and current trends in Philippines are promising, and it will be interesting to see how this nation lives up the global community's optimistic expectations.